Hello, this is a guy who likes fanfiction and is too lazy to read, so here is Heir of the Uzumakis in audio form. Check the description for the links to the author. Chapter 11, Spilled Blood. Can I help you? Naruto asked as he slowly turned his body so that he could face both parties. Oh no, Naruto-kun. Temari said as she stared at him wide-eyed. We want to help you. Right. Naruto muttered as he teetered back and forth. Shit, that attack really hurt me. He thought as he kept his eyes on all five ninja. It's true, Naruto, I don't want you to die just yet. Gaara said as a small stream of sand began to rise out of his gourd. May I ask why? Naruto asked as he drew a kunao shakingly. Because I want to fight you, I can tell you're strong. Gaara said with a small sadistic grin that suited his features perfectly. Naruto was becoming rather nervous about the circumstances. He had a girl who was in love with him, her shady teammate, and her cold-blooded teammate, and two sound ninjas assigned to kill him. Things didn't look too bright for him. Naruto wiped some blood that was trickling down his neck and looked at Gaara seriously. How can you tell that? Naruto asked and Gaara chuckled slightly. Because you and me, we're alike in many ways. Gaara said and Naruto stiffened. You don't mean? Naruto muttered. Yes, I do. Gaara said as the sand that had emptied from his gourd began to swirl around him. Well, then I'll fight you. Naruto said as he turned to fight the two sound ninja. If you tell me your number. Naruto finished and Gaara chuckled. 1, and you? Gaara asked and Naruto chuckled. 9. He replied and Gaara raised an eyebrow. How peculiar. Gaara muttered. Naruto chuckled lightly as he brought his hands up into his fighting stance. As he got ready to rush at Gufuru, though, he suddenly staggered and fell down to one knee and coughed up some blood. What the hell? Why am I not healing? Naruto yelled in his mind angrily. You better let me handle this. Gaara said, and then another feminine voice chipped in. Yeah, Naruto-kun, I'll help out Gaara Ototo. Temari said as she unfurled her fan. Naruto sighed as he stood to his feet shakingly and limped away from the battle scene and stood protectively next to Ino. Gaara waited until the coast was clear and then looked at Gufuru with a sick smile. Don't worry, it will all be over quick. The redhead said coldly. Don't make me laugh, you pathetic loser. Gufuru said as he rushed at Gaara. He threw a punch at Gaara's face, but the red-haired boy just smirked as Gufuru's fist slammed into a shield of sand. The sand rippled wildly like water from Gufuru's arm amplifiers, but other than that it stood solid. The sound ninja jumped backwards as a spike of sand shot up from the ground, threatening to impale his body. You're gonna have to try harder than that. Gufuru said as he charged at Gaara again. Gaara smirked and settled into a fighting stance. Oh, he's dead. Kankuro muttered and watched as Gaara began his rare taijutsu fight. Gaara dodged a punch from Gufuru and swung his leg around and caught the teen in the arm, but behind his kick was a pillar of sand which made his foot propel forward at an even faster speed. The kick connected with Gufuru's arm and Naruto heard a sickening snap as the arm was destroyed from the hit. Gufuru groaned as he jumped back and his arm hung at his side uselessly. Any last words? Gaara asked as he dropped his fighting stance and held his hand straight out in front of him. You think it's over so soon? Gufuru asked coldly and Gaara smirked. Those were a waste of oxygen. The redhead said, and suddenly sand erupted from the ground beneath Gufuru and ensnared his legs tightly despite the teen's attempts at moving. What the hell? Gufuru roared as he tried to dig himself out. He looked up at Gaara evilly and swung his good arm around, and Naruto saw the air shimmer as the sound wave flew at Gaara. The red-haired boy simply flicked his hand up and a wall of sand crashed into the sand and blew it apart, stopping the track dead. A storm of sand blew around Gaara but suddenly and swirled around him in a tornado and redirected itself at Gufuru, whose eyes widened as the sand shot towards him. He held up his arm in defense, but that made it easier for Gaara to get his target. The sand began to go into Gufuru's amplifiers and soon sand was pouring out of them both. Your arms are a nuisance, so I hope you don't mind if I just... Bakuhajuna. The sand that was inside of the amplifiers exploded suddenly, taking most of Gufuru's arms with it. Red sand splattered the ground around Gaara and Naruto watched with wide eyes as Gufuru screamed in agony as he waved his now useless stumps around. Get rid of them. Gaara finished his sentence as he slowly raised his hand and the sand began to creep up Gufuru's body. No! Gufuru screamed as the sand made it to his neck. Wait! He tried to scream but sand poured into his open mouth. You're done! Gaara said as sand completely enveloped Gufuru. Naruto watched with horror as Gaara let a slow smile cross his face. The red-haired boy glanced at Naruto as though issuing a silent challenge. Sabakukya! The sand suddenly hardened and imploded on itself. Naruto watched as blood began to pour from the cracks in the sand tomb and he knew right away that the boy inside was dead. He let his eyes travel over to Gaara who was already walking back towards Kankuro and didn't even gaze at his sister's fight. He flicked his hand out and a spear of sand suddenly impaled Karen through the heart and nailed her to a tree. Gaara let the girl hang there as Temari looked at the dead body with horror. He kills with ease. Naruto thought and Gaara turned towards him. Here you go. He said and reached down and grabbed 2 scrolls from Zuko's pouch. I want to fight you so be prepared, that was just an example of my strength. Gaara said and threw the scrolls at Naruto and they landed at his feet. The boy smirked as he walked away with Kankuro behind him. Bye Naruto-kun. Temari said a bit shaken up. Bye. Naruto said as he leaned back against the tree and slowly sank to his knees. The Chunin exams he thought as he stared at the horrific scene before him. Zabuza-sensei, you never prepared me for this. He muttered and he heard the steady drip of Karen's blood hitting the ground. I'm back. Naruto said as he approached Sakura who was standing protectively in front of an unconscious Sasuke with a kunai pointed at Naruto's chest. You ass, where have you been? Sakura screamed and Naruto rubbed his temples. I am not in the mood. He said while releasing a bit of killing intent that froze Sakura in her tracks. I am sorry. Sakura muttered and Naruto ceased the flow of killer intent. He walked over to a tree and pulled his scroll from his back with a sigh. He sat against the tree heavily as he opened the scroll up and saw a bunch of small seals on it. He had prepared for his journey back to Konoha and so he had almost all of his belongings packed away in this scroll. He found a small seal that looked like a triangle with a star overlapping it and bit his thumb and pressed it against the seal and in a cloud of smoke a bowl of steaming ramen appeared in front of him. Naruto re-rolled the scroll again and set it next to him before clapping his hands together and saying Itadakimasu. Naruto began to slurp down the noodles with a weariness that usually wouldn't affect him while he was eating the heavenly food. Gaara, he kills without hesitation and not only that but he is also a Jinhiriki like myself. He is strong, there is no doubt, probably stronger than I am at that. Naruto thought inside his head and he sighed when he thought about when the time came to fight the boy. How can you just sit there and eat that in front of us? Sakura demanded and Naruto looked up to her. I do it very easily. Naruto said in between a bite. We are you comrades, Sasuke needs help. Sakura exclaimed and Naruto snorted. Then go get some, why should I stick my neck out for that sorry bastard? Naruto said and showed Sakura the 2 scrolls that were in his cloak. I have the scrolls here, so I no longer need you to. Naruto said as he finished the bowl of ramen and tossed the useless ceramic bowl to the side where it hit a rock and shattered. Naruto! Sakura exclaimed when the boy rejected her and Sasuke. Sakura! Naruto said mocking Naruto's voice. Sakura glared at Naruto angrily as he stood to his feet and stretched slowly. Naruto looked up and saw that the sun was already rising and he knew that they should get out of the forest before any more enemies found them. He was in no condition to fight and since the idiot Sasuke was also knocked out he would have no choice but to carry the sorry bastard. Naruto walked over to Sasuke and sneered. Look at the great Uchiha. Naruto muttered as he made a cross seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A clone appeared next to Naruto and had the same look that its creator had. A look of frustration, why should it have to carry the faggot? Let's go. Naruto said as the clone grabbed Sasuke and slung him over his shoulder. The clone's face twisted in concentration as it tried to carry the boy. Naruto muttered and made another clone that helped the first clone out and carried Sasuke like a long log. Be careful. Sakura muttered as she walked behind the clones. I don't see you doing the work, so shut up. All 3 Narutos yelled at once. Sakura became silent as the group of 5 walked towards the large tower on the border of the training ground. Naruto kept his attention focused straight ahead of him and kept muttering under his breath as his eyelids drooped down heavily. He was tired, there was no doubt about that, but he had to make sure he got to the tower safe fully lest he end up like the Sound Team. Naruto's thoughts immediately went to the team and their death, well, all but Zuko's death. Naruto thought that the shock of finding his team slaughtered would do Zuko over more than being killed. Naruto shook his head and continued walking. It about an hour for them to reach the tower, and they did so without any surprise attacks, though they did find a few nasty traps set, but Sakura was finally able to do something for once and deactivated them. As they walked along the path with the tower maybe 20 feet from them, a form stepped onto the path and blocked their way. Naruto looked over the person and sighed heavily when he realized who it was. "You killed my team," Zuko said as he staggered back and forth. "No, I didn't," Naruto said as he watched Zuko lift his hand to attack, but a sharp pain went through it. "I'm going to kill you," Zuko said and spit some blood at Naruto. "Get out of the way," Naruto muttered as they began walking again. "Don't just ignore me," Zuko said and made to punch Naruto, but he fell face down in the dirt. "Idiot," Naruto muttered and kicked the boy in the leg as they walked by. "Who was that?" Sakura demanded, and Naruto rubbed his hair before answering. "Someone I ran into last night," he replied as they neared the doors to the tower. As they got closer, Naruto saw 3 forms leaning against the door and he sighed heavily. Kami really did hate him. Naruto stopped walking when they were within 10 feet of the door and saw the people blocking it. It was none other than the team from Suna. Gaara was grinning at Naruto while Temari was smiling. Kankuro had his eyes closed and was humming to himself softly while tracing patterns on his pants with his finger. Gaara stepped away from the wall and walked towards Naruto. "Good to see you're still alive," he said, and Naruto nodded. "You too, but somehow I doubt that anyone in there could kill you," Naruto said, and Gaara smirked. "Maybe you," he muttered, and Sakura spoke up. "Well, I know Sasuke-kun could kill you without blinking," the pink-haired girl said, and everyone turned to look at her. "Well, what do we have here?" Gaara muttered and took a step forward. "A rare specimen, pink hair, giant forehead, loud mouth, no skills." Sakura glared at Gaara and was about to say something when she felt sand suddenly shuffling over her feet. "Now I remember you, you're that annoying bitch from the other day. What was your name?" Gaara muttered but returned his attention to Naruto. "No matter, but in any case, good luck, my friend. I hope to fight you soon." "Yeah, I can't bring myself to say the same though," Naruto muttered, and Gaara chuckled. Temari, seeing that the exchange was over, walked up to Naruto and smiled and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. "That is for good luck, Naruto-kun. That is for good luck, Naruto-kun," Sakura mimicked under her breath. "Ugly bitch says what?" Temari said, glancing at Sakura, who reddened at the call-out. "Nothing," she said while looking away. "That's what I thought," Temari said, and turned around and looked back at Naruto with a wink. "Girls," Naruto thought as the Sand Team suddenly disappeared in a sand shunshin. He continued walking forward and his clones carried Sasuke with them until they reached the steps, where suddenly each clone disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Sasuke dropped to the ground and started to roll down the steps before Sakura caught him. "You idiot!" Sakura began to scream, but she saw Naruto on the ground unconscious. "Naruto!" "Chakra exhaustion," she heard a voice suddenly say, and she turned to find Iruka standing behind her. "He hasn't had a proper amount of rest, and I'm sure that he had his hands full in the forest," Iruka said and spoke into his microphone on his vest. "Iruka-sensei, I'm so glad to see you. Sasuke, he is hurt and needs medical attention," Sakura said, and Iruka looked at her. "Sakura," he muttered, then closed his eyes and shook his head. "When teams get here, they are supposed to open up the scrolls, and then someone important in their life would appear and tell them something, but since none of you opened the scroll, I had to just appear like this, but nonetheless I see that I can alter my message so that it makes sense for you," Iruka said, and Sakura cocked her head at him. "What is it?" she said impatiently. "A team is made up of 3 members. Each member should care for each other no matter what," Iruka said, and then looked at her seriously. "You and Sasuke don't deserve to be on the same team as Naruto if you won't recognize his strength and struggles." "What do you mean?" "We can't recognize his strength because he doesn't have any," Sakura said and waved an arm at Naruto wildly. Sakura! Iruka yelled and the cringed. Stop letting the things Sasuke says delude your vision. Who just carried your team through the forest and who retrieved the scrolls? Now who was unconscious the entire time? Iruka asked and Sakura stopped talking. Who can perform a Jounin level technique and not only that but can take it to levels that not even a Sunin can achieve? Who saved Wave Country back on their first C-ranked mission, and when I ask this I mean who really did it? Who had a bridge named after them? Iruka said and Sakura looked down in shame. Naruto. She muttered softly and looked up at the blondie and the doorsteps. Iruka-sensei. Naruto needs treatment quick. Iruka nodded his head as four shapes appeared around them. You four get Sasuke to the hospital stat. I will take care of Naruto. Sensei. Sakura muttered and stood. Sasuke, his neck. Sakura said and Iruka looked down and saw a sight that shocked him. It's just a bruise, don't worry about it. He said and Sakura nodded. Naruto, you have some explaining to do. Iruka thought as he picked up the blonde boy. Naruto was dreaming happily of ramen when a peculiar smell awoke him. He shot straight up and found a table with ramen on it waiting for him. All right. He exclaimed and dug into the bowl. Whoa, slow down Naruto. A voice said and Naruto turned around slowly and found someone who shocked him greatly. Iruka-sensei. He said happily and Iruka smiled. What's up? He asked and Naruto shrugged. You know, Chunin exams. Naruto muttered and Iruka smiled before looking away. So I take it you're here to find out why you found two dead bodies brutally murdered in the forest. Naruto asked and Iruka sighed. If you would. He asked and nodded. Well, the two ninja were of a sound team. Their names were Gufuru and Karen. Gaara of the Sand killed them both after I had engaged them in battle. I only injured Zaku, the third teammate though, and didn't kill him. Gaara ended up giving me their scrolls and form there. I proceeded here, but that is not the main part of the story. Naruto said as he trailed off. Naruto, please, we need to know. Iruka said as he sat on the edge of Naruto's bed. That team was assigned to kill me, by Orochimaru. Naruto whispered and Iruka gasped. Hokage. He yelled and ran out of the room. Seconds later Hiruzen barged into the room with a shocked and angry look on his face. Naruto. Tell me what happened. He demanded and Naruto sighed. My team was attacked by Orochimaru and, we fought with him, but Sasuke was bitten and suddenly got that mark on his neck. Naruto said. The cursed seal, he mastered it. The Hokage whispered and Naruto proceeded. We escaped and then I found his sound team plotting to kill me, and from there yeah. Naruto said and the Hokage nodded. Iruka let the Jounin know that Orochimaru is in the village, and call back G area. The Hokage said and Iruka nodded and dashed off. Naruto, is there anything else I should know? The old man asked. Naruto thought about Gaara and the one-tailed demon for a little bit before answering. No sir. Okay. The Hokage said and left the room. Man. Naruto muttered to himself. 3 days later. Naruto stood in the balcony of an underground arena watching a fight proceed. All of the passing teams had been herded into the arena in order to narrow the passing teams down to even smaller numbers. There was every team from Konoha including the Inoshikacho squad. They had been able to get their last scroll surprisingly, so they were able to pass. Of course they still could fail and probably would. Naruto let his gaze travel over everyone who had passed. Ino, Shikimaru, Choji, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Niji, Tenten, Rock Lee, Gaara, Temari, Kankuro, Sasuke, Sakura, himself, 3 sound ninja, and 2 other Konoha ninja whom Naruto didn't know. Naruto eyed everyone carefully, trying to find out who would be the best person to fight. In the arena was the first match already. It was between Kiba and one of the sound ninja. Naruto could already see that Kiba was about to pass on into the final round of the exams since he had hit the other teen several times already. Naruto watched as the Inuzuka ended the match with a quick headbutt and the sound ninja fell to the ground unconscious. Kiba pumped his fist triumphantly and walked up the stairs as the other ninja was carried out of the arena on a stretcher. Next match. Temari vs. Sakura Harino. The Hokage announced, and Sakura grinned as she walked into the arena. She is going to lose. Naruto muttered, and Kakashi turned on him. Don't disrespect your team members. The silver-haired man said, and Naruto snorted. It's true, I have seen Temari fight, that team is ruthless. Temari vs Sakura. Temari jumped down from the balcony and landed lightly in front of Sakura with a large grin. You're the bitch that annoys my Naruto-kun. Temari said, and Sakura rolled her eyes. That's cute, she said, and the Hokage sighed and covered his eyes and dropped his hand, signaling the start of the match. Temari hopped away from Sakura as the girl threw a weak punch at her. Temari slid to a stop and pulled out her giant fan and leaned on it and stared at Sakura with a bored expression. Sakura growled and ran at Temari and used a basic academy-style taijutsu to fight her. She threw a punch at Temari, but Sand Girl brought her fan in front of Sakura's fist, and when it made contact with the metal, Naruto heard a sickening crunch as Sakura's knuckle bones were destroyed. Sakura yelped as she hopped backwards and nursed her injured hand. Do you give up? Temari asked, and Sakura shook her head in anger. Bring it, you stupid blonde. The pink-haired girl screamed, and Temari shook her head. Coming from the girl with pink hair. She muttered and unfurled her fan. What are you going to do now? Sakura sneered, and Temari smirked. Finish this match, you bore me. Temari said, and brought her fan back behind her back and swung it in one fluid motion. Kami no Kaze. Sakura didn't have a chance as a sudden gust of wind slammed into her. She was sent hurtling back and slammed into the wall, and the wind kept pressing against her, and soon she made a small crater in the wall. Temari ended the attack, and Sakura fell limply to the ground and remained there. Winner Temari. The Hokage said tediously. Shino vs Rock Lee. Naruto watched as the bug user stepped into the ring and the boy known as Lee dropped into the ring and yelled. Naruto didn't even bother watching the match because he knew who would ultimately win. He had heard about Lee and his extreme taijutsu skills, but there was no way that he would be able to outsmart Shino. The boy was one of the smartest genin that there was. Sure enough, in a matter of seconds Shino had Lee covered with his chakra beetles, but surprisingly nothing happened. Lee continued to attack Shino unrelentingly, and soon he landed just one hit on the boy, but that was enough. Lee hit Shino in the jaw with a roundhouse kick and sent the boy skittering across the floor unconscious. Winner Rock Lee. The Hokage said with a surprised look on his face as the beetles left Lee's body. Neji vs Kankuro. Naruto saw Kankuro walked into the ring nonchalantly and stare at the pale-eyed boy. Are you blind or something? He asked, and Neji smirked. Your fate is to lose. Neji said, and Kankuro shrugged. You're a cocky bastard. He muttered and grabbed one scroll from his back and threw it into the air, and in a cloud of smoke a puppet appeared. It was shaped like a man with 6 arms and had a shattering mouth. Neji watched as Kankuro flicked his hand and the puppet flew at him, only Neji settled into the Hyuga fighting stance and spun quickly. A dome of blue chakra surrounded him and the puppet ricocheted off it and flew upwards. Kankuro snarled and redirected the puppet, but Neji brought his hand around and slammed his open palm into the puppet's chest. The puppet was sent flying back at Kankuro with a large crack in the chest. Kankuro spit on the ground as he started to attack Neji again. Neji dodged the puppet and with a kick sent it flying straight into the air. He then infused chakra into his hand and brought it down in front of him for some reason. Naruto watched as Kankuro swore and the puppet fell to the ground. Neji spun again, and this time when the puppet hit the blue chakra dome it shattered and skittered across the floor. Neji stopped spinning and ran at Kankuro, who was reaching behind his back for his second scroll that held a puppet probably. Neji stopped in front of him and shouted. 8 trigrams 65 palms. And if someone could tell me what this is really called I'd be happy. Kankuro couldn't react as Neji's hands turned into blurs and struck points all around Kankuro's body. After about 10 seconds Neji ceased striking Kankuro and the boy fell to the ground panting. What the hell did you do to me? Kankuro gasped. Closed all but a few of your chakra points, you can't go on. Neji said. Winner Neji. The Hokage said, and medics carried Kankuro from the room. Gaara vs Hinata. The two stepped into the ring and faced each other. Gaara smirked when he saw Hinata shaking in fear. He emitted bloodlust and she could feel it. The Hokage felt this also, but he had to start the match and he did so. As soon as his hand dropped though, something happened. The doors to the bunker exploded inwards and a form charged in at Gaara. Zuko was running at Gaara with a savage look on his face and his entire body was covered in exploding tags. He roared as he drew closer to Gaara and he ignited the tags. "This is for my team," he screamed as he was within 10 feet of Gaara. Everyone was too shocked at the sudden attack to do anything, but Gaara wasn't. The red-haired boy raised his hand and sand erupted from the ground and Zuko was emerged in a hollow sand dome. The outside of the dome was smooth and hard and Naruto looked on with horror as Gaara smirked. Boom. It was a muffled noise but still audible and Naruto could see the sand bulge in some spots. Gaara looked at the Hokage and dropped his hand and the sand settled out, letting a large pool of blood and body parts splash across the arena. Naruto watched as an arm floated towards Gaara on a stream of blood. "I withdraw," Hinata screamed as she ran as quickly as she could from Gaara. "Winner Gaara," the Hokage said. There was nothing he could do. Gaara had acted in self-defense and hadn't really killed the boy in cold blood but had actually saved people in the room from the explosion. "Due to the mess, we will freeze the exams for a couple minutes. The next match will be," the Hokage said and pointed at the large electric board that displayed the names. Naruto watched with anticipation. He hoped he got an easy fight. Naruto vs Sasuke. The room became deathly silent as all eyes were directed at the Uzumaki and Uchiha. Naruto looked over at Sasuke and grinned. "Oh, your ass is mine," he said, and Sasuke shook his head. "This is too easy," he muttered. Chapter 12, The Anticipated Moment. Naruto cracked his knuckles as he walked towards the steps in excitement. He may have wanted an easy match but he still wanted to beat the hell out of Sasuke. Naruto glanced over and saw Sasuke muttering to Kakashi about something, probably about how he could beat Naruto. Naruto walked down the steps as the last of the blood and mess was cleaned up. As he walked down the steps he passed by Gaara and time seemed to slow down as they walked by each other. "Good luck," Gaara muttered. "You didn't have to show everyone the mess," Naruto muttered back, and time seemed to resume itself and the two boys continued on. Naruto got to the center of the arena and looked at the ground before making a split-second decision. He grabbed the scroll on his back and tossed it to the Hokage lightly. "Can you hold on to that please?" he asked, and the old man nodded and set it on the table beside him. Sasuke made his way down to the arena with his hands in his pockets, but Naruto could tell that the boy was nervous. Sasuke stopped about 5 feet from Naruto and eyed him carefully, and Naruto sighed. "I shouldn't use any strong techniques because of his pesky Sharingan," Naruto thought, and then the Hokage interrupted his thoughts. "Okay guys, I want a clean match," he said, and Sasuke smirked and Naruto rolled his eyes. Hiruzen raised his hand and dropped it and signaled the start of the match. "Get ready to lose, loser," Sasuke said as he jumped backwards, and Naruto rolled his eyes. "This won't take too long, I hope," Naruto said as he settled into a basic taijutsu stance when Sasuke activated his Sharingan. There was no way in hell that he was about to let the boy copy his clan's taijutsu style. Sasuke must have realized that Naruto wasn't going to let him copy the style because he cursed silently and settled into the Uchiha fighting stance. Both boys sat completely still and didn't move a muscle. Everyone could sense the tension in the air, straight as a rubber band stretched tight. It was Sasuke who made the first move though. He went through a set of hand seals quickly and landed on a tiger seal. "Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu." Sasuke reared his head back and blew a giant fireball at Naruto. Naruto sighed as he made 3 quick hand seals. "Suten, Daibakufu no Jutsu." Water swirled around Naruto before it shot out in a sphere that rivaled the fireball in size. Naruto watched as the two jutsu collided and exploded in an explosion of steam. Naruto felt the sudden rush of heat around him, and soon small raindrops showered him lightly, and he made another set of hand seals. "Suten, Mizu Hashira." The rain droplets suddenly began to whirl around and came together and flew at Sasuke. The Uchiha jumped out of the way when a pillar of water crashed into the ground where he was just standing. Naruto cursed when his attack missed its target. "Shit, I just showed off one of my last ace cards. Zabuza didn't teach me that many jutsu yet," Naruto thought as he ducked under a barrage of kunai that Sasuke threw. Naruto ran at Sasuke and threw a kick at the boy. Sasuke ducked under the kick, but Naruto quickly spun around and dropped to the floor and hit Sasuke in the shoulder with the kick. With the added momentum, Sasuke was sent rolling across the floor before he jumped to his feet and came to a stop. He glared at Naruto before charging again. "Screw this, I can't use this basic taijutsu crap, I have to use my clan way," Naruto thought and settled into his regular style. Sasuke smirked when he saw this and knew that he was about to gain a very good taijutsu style. He threw a punch at Naruto, but the blonde ducked under it and came up with an uppercut. Sasuke flinched backwards and swung his leg around at Naruto's head, but the teen ducked under it and back-flipped backwards. He tried to catch Sasuke in the jaw with a kick while he was flipping, but Sasuke managed to bring his arms up to defend himself. Naruto landed and slid back a few feet before he ran at Sasuke again. He threw a right hook at the boy's face, but before he hit it he changed the direction of his fist and grabbed Sasuke's right shoulder. The Uchiha wasn't expecting this, so he didn't see Naruto's left fist coming around at his face. The punch collided with Sasuke's face and sent him flying backwards. He hit the ground and skipped backwards a couple times before coming to a halt. "How'd that feel?" Naruto asked as Sasuke got to his feet. "You're gonna pay for that one," Sasuke said and charged at Naruto. The Uchiha threw a kick around at Naruto's head, and when it missed its target, Sasuke came around with a right hook that caught Naruto in the jaw. The blonde was knocked to the ground and rolled out of the way when Sasuke brought his other fist down on the spot where his head was just at. Naruto grabbed Sasuke's arm and flipped him backwards, but the Uchiha landed on his feet and swung Naruto around on the ground and into the wall that they were near. Naruto hit the wall and groaned when he felt his left arm take most of the damage. Sasuke jumped backwards when Naruto kicked upwards at his leg. The Uchiha landed about 30 feet from Naruto and stood panting. Naruto got to his feet and held his left arm in pain as he panted heavily. Neither boy was back at full strength after the fight with Orochimaru, but they knew that if they didn't fight they couldn't become Chiryunin. "You're a pretty good loser, but I'm better," Sasuke said and ran through a set of hand seals again. "Katon, Debaka Hana Fushiko no Jutsu." Naruto watched as Sasuke held his hands to his sides and fire began to gather in them. The Uchiha looked up at him and grinned. "You're not the only one who has been learning new techniques in the last 6 months," Sasuke said and slammed his hands together and then thrust them outward. The fire in his hands began to shoot at Naruto in the form of 7 small fireballs, and they all seemed to change color from red to pink. Naruto jumped out of the way as they began to collide with the wall and explode, resulting in decent-sized craters with black soot in them to form. Naruto ducked out of the way of every fireball but one. He didn't have enough time to duck, so he quickly flicked his wrists and some water shot up from the floor and gave him a half-assed shield. The fire exploded and the concussion hit him in the chest and slammed him against the wall. He slumped to the ground as his vision flashed red and white and he cursed. "Damn fire," he thought as he shook his head. He cleared his vision just in time to see Sasuke swinging his hand at his face. His hand was encased in fire, and Naruto knew that the outcome would not be good if he was hit by that special little attack. "Katon, ano keiji tibukuro." Naruto managed to throw himself to the side just as Sasuke's fire-encased hand hit the wall where his head just was. After the fire glove passed by the wall, there was a black gouge in the wall, and Naruto sighed in relief. If he had gotten hit by that jutsu, he would literally be toast. He rolled away from Sasuke as the boy slammed his fire-encased hand palm down on the floor where he just was. The fire on his hand shot out in the form of a star before burning away. It left a blackened star on the floor, and Naruto shook his head at Sasuke's abilities. "And here I thought you were just being a lazy bastard the whole time, you were just hiding your skills until the final part of the exams came around," Naruto said, and Sasuke smirked. "You would have done better had you done the same," Sasuke said, and Naruto shrugged. "You haven't seen everything I can do yet," Naruto said as he made a cross-hand seal. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." There was a large cloud of smoke, and when it cleared, 20 Narutos stood surrounding Sasuke. The Uchiha swore and backed up against the wall as he eyed the problem in front of him. "Besides, you still can't learn this technique, am I right?" Every Naruto chorused at the same time. They all began to charge at Sasuke, and the Uchiha formed some hand seals. "Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu." A fireball roared across the center of the small army, destroying most of the clones and sending up a large cloud of smoke. Naruto smirked as Sasuke played right into the trap, the fight was over now. As smoke filled the entire arena, the people above could only see black and white smoke obscuring their vision. What is going on? Kiba yelled. Naruto-kun. Temari yelled at the smoke. How troublesome. Shikamaru muttered as he put his hands behind his head. Suddenly a black shape detached itself from the smoke and was sent hurtling up towards the ceiling. People gasped when they saw Sasuke flipping head over heels. Suddenly they saw 4 Narutos jump from the smoke, only they were jumping off each other's backs in order to get higher than Sasuke. Soon Naruto was flying above Sasuke, who was looking at him in shock. Oh shit. Sasuke muttered as Naruto hurtled down towards him, only the blonde was running through hand seals. When he finished, a pillar of water shot up from the cloud of smoke and flew behind Naruto and then went over his head and flew directly at Sasuke. Suten, Mizu Hashira. Sasuke crossed his arms in front of his chest as the pillar of water slammed into his body and sent him hurtling towards the ground. Everyone watched with shock as Sasuke was slammed into the ground by the water pillar. They heard a loud boom as Sasuke made contact with the ground, but they couldn't see the boy due to the smoke that was slowly starting to fade now. Is it over? Hinata asked quietly as the room became completely silent. Naruto fell into the smoke and landed softly and looked around for Sasuke and found him crouching in a crater. The Uchiha was panting heavily and Naruto was shocked to actually see him conscious. Naruto fell into a fighting stance and Sasuke looked up. What have you been doing for the last 6 months? The Uchiha asked and Naruto grinned. Becoming stronger than you. Naruto said and Sasuke shook his head. I can beat you, I'm just not at full power. Sasuke said, trying to make an excuse for his weakness. Neither am I, you dumbass. I battled Orochimaru 3 days ago, then fought off Zaku, then carried your ass through the forest of death. Naruto said as he fell out of fighting stance. Face it, Sasuke, I have surpassed you a long time ago. Naruto said and turned his back. Don't turn your back on me. Sasuke yelled and Naruto shook his head. You're finished. He said and began to walk away as the smoke finally cleared. Whoa, they're both still standing, Choji muttered. Naruto kept walking and then he heard footsteps running at him. He stopped and time seemed to slow for him as he slowly turned and caught Sasuke's outstretched fist in his left hand. He then brought his right hand around and slammed it into Sasuke's face and then brought it back and slammed it into his gut. Sasuke doubled over in pain, but Naruto wasn't done. He grabbed Sasuke by the collar of his shirt with his right hand and the top of his pants with his left hand. He picked Sasuke up and slipped him through the air and slammed him down onto the ground on his back. The ground cracked under the force of the attack and everyone became silent as Sasuke's eyes widened and he coughed up some blood. I told you, it's over. Naruto whispered only for Sasuke to hear. Winner Naruto. The Hokage yelled and everything was silent. Naruto looked up and then suddenly everyone bursted into applause. He chuckled to himself and waved lightly before accepting his scroll from the Hokage. He put the scroll back on his back and began to walk towards the stairway when Kakashi shunshined into the arena. Sasuke, he said in concern. Naruto rolled his eyes as Kakashi helped Sasuke to his feet and looked at Naruto disapprovingly. The two disappeared in a whirl of leaves and Naruto shrugged his shoulders and continued to walk up the steps. On his way he saw many people staring at him in awe. He clenched his fists and sat back against the wall. He didn't have much anything else to do. Naruto ignored the remaining matches because it didn't really matter to him who won them. After a while though he heard the Hokage announce the final match. It was between Tenten and some random sound ninja, but he could care less who won that match. After about 5 minutes he heard the Hokage's voice. Congratulations to all who have passed the prelims. The old man began. If I could have all those who passed please make their way down to table right here. Naruto got to his feet and walked down the steps just as all those who passed did the same. He looked around and found everyone who passed. Gaara, Temari, Neji, Lee, Tenten, himself, Kiba, an unknown Konoha ninja who had blackish hair that hung down low in his face, a sound ninja who had short brown hair, and another sound ninja who had red hair that hung down in her face. Naruto eyed the sound ninja carefully before turning his attention towards the Hokage who was preparing to speak again. Now we need all of your names real quick. The Hokage said and Genma stepped forward. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto said. Yamanaka Ino. Ino said and smiled at Naruto. Nara Shikimaru. Shikimaru said lazily. Inyazuka Kiba. Kiba said lazily. Tamari. Tamari said and then pointed at her brother. Gara. Hyuga Niji. The Hyuga said. 10-10. The girl said and stood next to Niji. Rock Lee. The overexcited boy said. Shokazi Hirako. The boy from Konoha said and turned around and stood next to Naruto. I haven't seen you around here. Naruto muttered. That's because I came from a different village about 3 months ago. Hirako said and became silent. Matsudo Tewa. Hashiba Koto. The sound ninja said with a small frown and stood next to Gaara, who eyed him carefully. I can't wait to kill you. Gaara said and the sound ninja sorted. Right. Uchiha Sasuke. Everyone turned to find Sasuke standing at the doors of the arena with his hands in his pockets. Behind him was Kakashi and the council members, Homura and Koharu. The Hokage walked ahead angry as the group advanced and made their way towards him. What is the meaning of this? The Hokage said outraged. Chuunin rules specifically say that team members may not fight each other until the final round of the Chuunin exams. Koharu said and held out a piece of paper so that Hiruzen could read it. Which means that Sasuke passes on to the second round in Naruto's place. Homura said with a satisfied look on her face. Naruto looked at the woman in shock before he regained his composure. Oh hell no. I earned my spot. He shouted and Kakashi shook his head. No, you went against the rules, so you are disqualified. The silver-haired man said and Naruto threw his hands into the air randomly. How did I go against the rules? He yelled. Sasuke fought in the same damn match. Yes, but Koharu began. But nothing. Naruto shouted. We are equally to blame then, which would mean that we're both disqualified. That is true. The Hokage muttered. No. Uchiha Sasuke passes on to the final round of the exams due to the neglecting of the rules. Homura said defiantly. Fine. Uchiha Sasuke passes on the final round of exams. The Hokage said and walked away. Along with Uzumaki Naruto. No, Kakashi began. Shut the hell up. Naruto said and turned his back on the shocked Jounin. You can't talk to me like that. I am your sensei. Kakashi said bewildered. No, you were my sensei. Naruto said and walked away from the man. You are just another ninja to me now. After the events took place and Sasuke was unfairly passed into the final round of the exams, the Hokage proceeded with the next set of events. Now, we have to choose your opponents. Please step forward and draw a card from this box here, on it will be a number. Hokage said and each ninja did so. Now read off your numbers. The Hokage said. I'm number 1, Gaara said. I'm number 2, Niji said. I'm 3, Koto said. I'm number 4, Ino said and winked at Naruto. I'm 5, Tamari said. I'm 6, Tewa muttered. 7, Naruto said. I'm number 8. Kiba said with a grin. I'm 9, Shikimaru said. I'm 10 said. Totally by accident. Right here is 11, Sasuke said with a smirk. 12, Shino said in his shady voice. Okay then, so these are the pair-ups for the first round of the final matches. The Hokage said and looked at the paper. Gaara vs. Niji, Koto vs. Ino, Tamari vs. Tewa, Naruto vs. Kiba, Shikimaru vs. 10, and Sasuke vs. Shino. The matches will happen in that order, so be prepared everyone. You have the next 2 months to train and invent new surprises and analyze the data you got from watching your opponents fight today. And with that the old man disappeared in a whirl of leaves along with the other Jounin who didn't have teams in the exams. Well, it's going to be fun to kick your ass, Kiba. Naruto said to the Inyazuka before he disappeared in a water shunshin. This sucks. Kiba muttered. So we have 2 months to train for our final matches. I can't travel all the way to Whirlpool just for a little bit of training, so I guess I'll just have to train here. Naruto thought as he walked down a bust street. He was heading to the hot springs for a nice dip after all of his adventures in the last week. As he walked towards the men's hot springs he found a sight that shocked him. Outside of the women's hot springs was a giggling old man who was scribbling stuff down on a notepad and peeping in a hole. Naruto shook his head and sighed heavily. Perverts. Oh ho ho, this is the good stuff. The man said and laughed softly. Yo, pervy man. What are you doing? Naruto yelled and the man froze and slowly turned towards Naruto. Oh, it's just a genin, I'm okay. The man muttered and continued his work. Naruto crossed his arms and a vein bulged in his head. I said. What are you doing? Naruto yelled and yanked the man's ponytail down. Ya woof. The man screamed and covered his mouth realizing his mistake. Hey, did you guys hear that? A woman said. Hey, there's a hole in the wall. Another one screamed. Wait, hold on, it's Jiraiya. Another woman screamed and Naruto looked around and jumped into a bush as a mob of angry women charged out of the hot springs. Hey ladies. Jiraiya said and scratched the back of his head. Lovely whether we're having a. Bam. Boom. Crash. Bang bang. Screech. Splurt. Crunch. The mob of women entered the hot springs again leaving a bloody Jiraiya on the sidewalk. Naruto walked out of his hiding place and looked at Jiraiya lazily. How'd that feel, you perv? I'm no regular perv. Jiraiya screamed as he suddenly jumped up. What the hell? Naruto thought. I'm a super perv. Jiraiya cackled with a maniacally looking face. So you're Jiraiya, huh? Naruto asked as he poked the man. Yeah, I am, so stop treating me like a rare doll. The Sannin said as he brushed himself off. I need your help. Naruto said. Maybe this man can train me, he did train the fourth after all and he is a Sannin. Naruto thought. With what? Jiraiya asked as he fixed his ponytail. I need you to train me. Naruto said with a shrug. No. Jiraiya said as he turned his back and walked away. I have important matters to attend to. Like what? Finding Orochimaru inside the village. Naruto asked with his hands in his pockets. Jiraiya stopped dead in his tracks and turned towards Naruto. Who told you that? The man said with a small hint of anger in his voice. I'm the kid who fought against the dem sadist. Naruto exclaimed. And he marked my teammate with that curse seal of his, so now he has that dem trick up his sleeve. I need the help of a Sannin. Naruto said and Jiraiya stared at him. Why should I help you? Jiraiya asked with a bored tone. Because, you already know who I am, right? Naruto asked and Jiraiya snorted and shook his head. Why would I know? He asked and turned his back on the blonde. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto said and Jiraiya stopped dead in his tracks again. And Naruto? Kuwabai no Kitsune's jailer. Jiraiya asked and Naruto nodded. Yup. The blonde replied and Jiraiya sighed and turned towards Naruto. Okay kid, you got my help, now what do you need help with? Jiraiya asked and Naruto shrugged. I need to get stronger, Naruto. Muttered and Jiraiya snorted. Can't you use Kuwabai's chakra? That should make you as strong as any ninja. Jiraiya exclaimed. No, I can do that. Naruto asked and Jiraiya stared at him in shock. You never used the demon's chakra before? The Sannin asked. Well, once, but that was different, I had no choice, it just kind of happened. Naruto said and the man nodded. Very well, come with me, I will train you and take you on as my apprentice. Jiraiya said and held out his hand. Naruto stared at it before sighing. He walked past the Sannin and down the road. This should be fun. He thought. Chapter 13, Training and Dates, Part 1-3. Okay kid, your first exercise, Jiraiya said and pointed at the small pond in front of them. What the hell is this? Naruto said and Jiraiya chuckled. Do you want to learn how to walk on water? Jiraiya asked and Naruto slapped his forehead. I know how to do that. The blonde said and Jiraiya opened his eyes shocked. Oh, well, then on to exercise B. Jiraiya said and pulled out a large scroll. I'll let you sign this contract as long as you agree to. I have a summoning contract, I'm the master of it too. Naruto said as he picked at his ear. Then what the hell can I teach you, kid? Jiraiya roared and Naruto looked at him. Well, how about how to use Kyuubi's chakra? Naruto asked and Jiraiya sighed. Well, that's about the only thing. The old man trailed off as he thought about something. On second thought, what if I taught you a super cool jutsu? Jiraiya said, spreading his arms out wide. I know a bunch already. Naruto muttered. This one tops them all. Jiraiya said with his arms across his chest. Oh really? Naruto asked and raised his eyebrows. Prove it. Jiraiya chuckled as he held out his hand to Naruto. Naruto stared at it until suddenly he saw chakra begin to spin in it in the form of a perfect sphere. It was pinkish white and Naruto was transfixed by it. This is Raise-Non, the fourth Hokage's original jutsu. Pure, raw, destructive chakra. Jiraiya said and slammed the jutsu into a tree. The jutsu bore into the wood and when it faded there was a hole that went through the entire tree, perfectly smoothed out and perfectly circular. That was only at half power. Jiraiya said and turned to Naruto. That was awesome. Naruto muttered and looked at Jiraiya in a new light. Please teach me Ero-sensei. Don't call me that. Jiraiya yelled. That was a week and a half ago. Focus. Jiraiya yelled as he hit Naruto with a small pebble. This is hard. Naruto yelled right back. Focus. Jiraiya yelled back. Naruto shook his head as he held the water balloon in front of him again. Jiraiya told him that learning the technique was a 6-step process. Naruto had completed the first 3 steps and was on the 4th one, but he was stuck. It had taken him an entire 6 days to complete the first 3 steps, but this one just wouldn't get over and done with. The first step was to be able to concentrate chakra into your hand, which Naruto mastered after a day. On the 2nd day he had to try and channel the chakra out of his hand, which took him 2 days to learn. Then the 3rd step was to hold a solid spherical object in your hand and rotate it with chakra. It took Naruto 3 days to get that step down, but here he was 4½ days later, stuck on the 4th step. He had to channel his chakra into the water balloon and rotate the water without making the balloon burst. He had already gone through 150 balloons now and the number was still climbing. I can't make my chakra go into the water and spin it in a perfect circle for some reason, which is weird because I have great control over water. Naruto said as he threw the balloon which had just popped into the ever-growing pile of balloon remains. That is because you have water-based chakra. With this technique you use raw chakra and channel it through your hand, then make it rotate before it expands beyond your control. Jiraiya said as he took a sip from his pop. Damn. Naruto said and grabbed another water balloon from a trash bin full. How long did it take the 4th to complete this technique? I told you it has not yet been completed. This step here is only the first of 6 stages. The 4th only made it to 4th stage and was starting to work on the 5th stage before he died. Even then he didn't have a complete grasp on the 4th stage, besides it took him about 2 years to make this 1st stage here. It took me about a year to learn it, and master the 1st stage. Jiraiya said and Naruto sighed. So I won't have this technique for the exams. He cursed. Not if you keep whining, you won't. Jiraiya yelled and threw another rock at him. Naruto grumbled as he began to focus more chakra into the water balloon, urging it to spin. It was then that he felt something. It was slight, but he felt it. He felt the water slosh around in the water balloon for a few seconds before it exploded. I did it, I made it spin. Naruto exclaimed as he jumped up and down. I doubt it, kid. I bet it'll take you at least these next 2 months to get to the 5th stage at least. Jiraiya said as he sighed impatiently. I thought he would be better. Oh really? Naruto said and threw the destroyed balloon at Jiraiya's face. I bet I can finish it in the next 11 days. He yelled and Jiraiya snorted. Kid, if you can do that I will personally teach you another cool technique. Jiraiya said and Naruto raised an eyebrow. What is it? He asked and Jiraiya shook his head. Only if you finish this technique because it builds off this. Jiraiya said and Naruto rubbed his hands together greedily. You got yourself a deal. Naruto said, but Jiraiya raised up a hand. But if you lose this bet you have to do something for me. Jiraiya said and Naruto scratched his head. What? The blonde asked. Jiraiya got a shy and perverted face as he poked his index fingers together. You have to go around all day using your sexy jutsu. Pervert. Naruto yelled. I'm a super pervert. Jiraiya screamed. You're pathetic. Naruto said as he went back to work. Elsewhere. Underscore. Come on Sasuke, focus the chakra into your hand like this and hold it there. Kakashi said as he pointed at a spot on Sasuke's hand. I do, but every time I try I can't control the lightning and it shocks me and messes up my control in this hand. Sasuke said as he shook his head. Yes, I had that same problem when I first started out, but you learn how to do it right eventually. Kakashi said and Sasuke groaned. Can we take a break from this? My arm is tingly and I can't feel it. Sasuke said as he rubbed his arm. Fine, I want to teach you something else anyways. Kakashi said and Sasuke cocked his head. What? He asked and Kakashi sighed. Well, it's a technique that seals chakra. Kakashi explained and Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Why should I learn about that? The Uchiha asked and Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Oh, Naruto. Not just him but all of your opponents, if you can get them with this seal then they can't use chakra properly. Kakashi said and held his hand out. This seal is a bit complicated and only a few can use it. Kakashi then went through some hand seals and then held his hand back out, only now his fingertips were all glowing a different color. His thumb was a yellowish white, his index finger was red, middle finger was blue, ring finger was brown, and his pinky was pure white. It's called a 5-prong elemental seal. It is handy when fighting against people who can use elemental chakra sufficiently. So it is meant to be used on Naruto. Sasuke said and shrugged. Oh well. Okay, I want you to copy my hand seals with your Sharingan. Kakashi said and Sasuke nodded. The next day Naruto was walking down the street taking a little break from training. In his hand was a metal ball that was the size of a baseball and inside was a small metal marble. Jiraiya had given it to Naruto and told him that if he could make the marble spin around in circles in the larger ball then he would have a better chance at excelling at the 4th step. Naruto immediately went to work on the small thing all night and all this morning. As he walked he felt the small metal ball bouncing around, not spinning in smooth circles yet. Naruto swore as he continued to concentrate on making the ball spin. As he focused he suddenly felt some leeway and began to work on it and felt the marble begin to spin when all of a sudden. Naruto-kun. A voice rang out and Naruto lost his concentration. Kyuso. Naruto yelled and gained a couple looks from strangers. Hey Naruto-kun, what's up? Naruto turned to see Temari bounding toward him happily. She had on a short black skirt that came down low enough to hide her panties from sight yet high enough that she wouldn't have to even drop the skirt to go to the bathroom. Over that she was wearing a tight pink t-shirt that showed off her chest and despite Naruto's best attempts his gaze kept traveling down to it. Curse you pervy sage. Naruto swore in his mind. Temari also had on a pair of pink and black striped socks that came up to her knees and she wore a simple pair of sandals for shoes. Her hair billowed freely behind her and came down to her shoulders. Hey Temari. Naruto muttered and waved lightly. Damn it, he thought. Hey, we match today. She squealed and Naruto sighed. He had only adorned himself with a pair of black pants, a tight black t-shirt that showed off his Uzumaki crest tattoo, and a pair of black shoes. His headband was still tied at his belt loop and he let his hair fall freely in front of his eyes. His sword and scroll were strapped onto his back, only he carried them a different way. He carried his scroll like Jiraiya did because he found that it let him move with the scroll easier. It was down at his lower back and vertical while his sword was strapped on his back diagonally. Naruto eyed Temari carefully and then sighed before giving her a grin. Maybe if I am just nice to her today. He thought. You look pretty cute today. He said and Temari stared at him before a small blush made its way across her face, right under her eyes. Thanks Naruto-kun. She said as she toed the ground. She looks kind of cute, right? No. I need to focus. Naruto said as he mentally straightened himself out. So what's up? He asked as he shifted his weight slightly and leaned against a building next to him. Well, I saw you and then I kind of thought that maybe we could hang out or something. Temari asked looking at him sincerely. Naruto sighed and shrugged his shoulders. Why not? I could use some company. He said, and Temari squealed again. Thank you so much, so what do you want to do? She asked, and Naruto rubbed his head. Well, I'm kind of hungry. He began. Let's get some ramen. She said immediately, and Naruto looked at her. How did you know I liked ramen? He asked, and Temari blushed. Well, I kind of did some digging up on you, but also it is because of Gaara. He likes ramen a lot for some unknown reason, and well, he has an insatiable urge to eat a lot of ramen, and you guys are somewhat the same. Temari said, and Naruto shook his head. That's not true, we just have good taste, it has nothing to do with, you know. Naruto said, and Temari nodded. She obviously got the meaning of what he and Gaara were talking about back in the forest. Fu smiled as a bowl of steaming hot ramen was set in front of her. All right, she said, and smacked her hands together. I taught Aaa Kimesuyua. She sung out and dug in. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. With this ramen there is no need to pout. Killer B said as he slurped some miso ramen down. Come on B, slow down. Yujito said as she finished her 10th bowl. Look who's talking, yo. B accused. Gaara looked around his room and shut the curtains and walked over to his bag. He slowly pulled a cup of his favorite instant ramen from it and smiled evilly. And they said I wouldn't get you past them. He said, and poured some boiling hot water into the container. Roku looked around before he snuck out of the giant fancy restaurant and ran across the street. He opened the curtain to his favorite ramen stall and took a deep breath. Oh Miso-chan, I'm back. Roku. Stop having fantasies about the ramen. The chef yelled, and Roku blushed as he sat down. Natsumi smiled as she slurped from a bowl politely. She set the empty bowl down, and then her entire demeanor changed. Hit me up, baby. She yelled, and the chef slammed 3 bowls down on the table. Come on, break the record. 25 seconds, Natsumi. Do it. Do it. Do it. The crowd began to chant as Natsumi downed the ramen in split seconds. Yeah. She roared. Oka burped loudly after he finished his 15th bowl of ramen and then looked around. It's been a good day today, my friends. He said, and sauntered out of the ramen shop. Jakora stretched happily as he fell asleep in his bed. Around him was a castle of empty instant ramen cups. I love ramen. Every Jinhyuriki chorused at the same time, unbeknownst to them. Naruto shuddered as he got a weird feeling. Weird. He said, and Temari smiled at him. Come on, let's go get some ramen right now. She said, and grabbed his hand and led him down the street. After about 10 minutes though, she stopped and turned towards him with a nervous smile. Where is the shop? She asked, and Naruto laughed at her, and it was a real laugh and it felt good. It's this way. He said, and pulled her along lightly. Oh my Kami. He's holding my hand. Temari thought, and she blushed. What am I doing? Naruto thought as he saw the blonde girl blush. He continued walking, weaving in and out of the crowd and ignoring the hateful glares that came his way. Temari saw the glares and shook her head in anger. She had seen people give Gaara these looks when the boy went into town, which was rare, very rare. Here we are. Naruto said with a grin as he grabbed the curtain and pulled it aside, letting Temari duck in. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Temari said with a smile as she sat in a chair and spun in a circle on it. Oh, Naruto-kun, who is this? A girl's voice said, and Temari turned. Hee, this is Temari. Ayam, Temari, this is Ayam, and that. Naruto said, pointing at the chef. Is it Ichiraku? Naruto, you said that I would be your first date. Ayam said, raising an eyebrow at him. Ayam, that was like 6 years ago. Naruto said with a grin and sat down. So what do you guys want? Ayam said as she laughed about her and Naruto's joke. I want the usual, Temari. He asked and looked at the blonde girl. Said blonde was zoned out while staring at Naruto's face. Temari. Naruto asked again, and she jumped when her concentration is broken. Huh, what? She said, and Ayam laughed. What do you want to eat? Naruto asked again, and Temari blushed. Oh, just a bowl of miso/deer ramen, if that's okay. She asked, and Ayam nodded. No problem. She said, and walked into the kitchen and joined her father. Naruto sighed as he leaned on the counter and turned his head so that he could eye Temari carefully. She wasn't paying attention and was letting her gaze wander around the shop. She is kind of cute and a lot more developed than some of the other girls around here. Naruto thought as his gaze traveled downward. No, he thought. I am not like the Purvey sage. Akua. Jiraiya sneezed and was blasted off the building that he was crouching on. What was that? He asked himself. So Temari, tell me, why aren't you training? He asked casually and Temari glanced at him with another small blush. Oh, well I mean, my team is already strong enough you see and besides I like to train at night. She said quickly and Naruto grinned. That sounds cool, so you primarily are a wind user then? He asked and Temari eyed him carefully. Are you digging information out of me? She asked playfully and Naruto couldn't help himself, he smiled at her. Nah, just curious. He said and the blonde girl nodded. Well, yeah I am really good with wind, in fact I'm inventing my own technique finally. She whispered with a large smile. That sounds awesome. Naruto exclaimed. I have yet to do so. I just have learned stuff my sensei has taught me. Naruto said as he wiped his nose in embarrassment. So what element do you use, besides water? Temari asked curiously. Oh that's it, I haven't discovered if I have any other affinities. He explained and Temari nodded. But that doesn't mean I'm not any weaker. He said as he thought about the technique he was working on. Oh no, you're not weak. Temari said as she held her hands up defensively. I never meant that. She finished. Relax I know. Naruto muttered and rolled his eyes. Girls. He thought. That was close. Temari thought as she blushed again and looked down and saw Naruto's tattoo. Hey why do you have a tattoo and what does the symbol stand for? She asked curiously. While it wasn't uncommon for many ninja to have tattoos it was an uncommon symbol she never saw before. Oh this. Naruto asked as he held up his arm. The tattoo seemed to glow as though it was in moonlight. It's my clan's symbol. Naruto said, obviously not wanting to explain it anymore. Oh, what clan are you from? Temari asked curiously. Uzumaki. Naruto said simply and then cut her off before she could ask another questions. My turn to ask questions. Naruto said and tapped his forehead. So are you and Gaara and Kankuro actually siblings? He asked and Temari nodded. Yeah, our dad is the Kazekage. Temari muttered and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Oh really so you guys must have it good. He asked and Temari snorted louder than she hoped and then covered her face with a blush. Sorry but no, our dad neglects us because, well you know about Gaara already and well he hates Gaara but me and Kankuro, we don't share those feelings and so he hates us all. Temari explained and then looked away from Naruto. He has sent us on several dangerous A and B ranked missions along with one S rank, all in hopes that we would die but we never did and his congratulations were always curses in disguise. Temari said and Naruto shook his head. He could feel for the three kids, his life sucked just as bad growing up. So why did he send you guys here? Naruto asked and Temari snorted. You know that there may be an invasion or well whatever they are assuming right? Temari asked and Naruto nodded. Jiraiya had talked to him about this several times when they trained together. Yeah what about it? Naruto asked. Well our dad caught whiff of it and well he sent us over here as reinforcements for Konoha. Temari said and shook her head. He just hopes that at least one of us will die, hopefully Gaara. She said with disgust. So I take it you don't really like you dad? Naruto asked and Temari laughed. Like him? We hate him, it took everything me and Kankuro had to stop Gaara from killing him one day. Temari said and Naruto looked away and Temari caught this. Gaara, he isn't as sadistic as you think, it's the seal that's on him, my dad screwed with the original one, tampering with its effects so that he could make the perfect weapon out of Gaara, but it didn't work. Temari whispered. Instead Gaara, he gained a insanity that would surface when adrenaline was within him, but if he is outside of battle he is a typical boy, some would. Temari said and Naruto nodded. I can understand his pain. Naruto said and laid a hand on Tamari's shoulder, and the blonde girl blushed like crazy. But I still have to kick his ass in the finals, Naruto said, and Tamari let herself laugh by accident. In case you haven't noticed, Gaara has the ultimate defense. Sand protects him automatically, he has a layer of sand skin, and he also has his deadly sandstorm taijutsu style. Tamari said and covered her mouth, realizing her mistake. She had just given Naruto information about her brother. It's cool, I already deduced a lot about him when he battled, the blonde boy said, and that was when Ayam popped into the front of the shop again. Here you guys go, she said, and set bowls of ramen down in front of the two. Itadakimasu. Both Tamari and Naruto chorused at the same time. Man, that ramen was awesome, Tamari said as they left the shop half an hour later. Yeah, it is the best ramen ever, Naruto said with a grin. He was starting to grow rather fond of Tamari. So? Tamari sighed and looked up at the sky and then back at Naruto. Well, it's been fun, Naruto-kun, but I guess I should go if that's all, she said, and Naruto heard some hope in her voice. Well, I guess his sentence was never finished. Ino saw both blondes walk out of the ramen shop and immediately she became angry. Naruto was going to be hers. She had always secretly been infatuated with the boy after she heard about his actions in Wave Country. She also heard about the way Sasuke was treating him, and she realized how big of a dick he was and regretted ever really chasing him. So that being the case, Ino wasn't going to just give Naruto away to the dumb sand bitch. Naruto-kun, she yelled and hugged him tightly. How are you? She asked sweetly, and Naruto looked at her in shock for a moment. What the hell, he thought, and Ino blushed at his look. What is it, Naruto-kun? Ino asked as she held her hands behind her back nervously and toed the ground in front of her. And nothing, Ino, Naruto muttered and shook his head. Okay, any guy in Konoha would kill to have Ino hanging on them, he thought and shrugged. What do you need? He asked and watched as Ino blushed slightly, a small red haze making its way across her cheeks and over the bridge of her nose. She's even cuter than Tamari, Naruto thought before mentally kicking himself. Oh, well, you see, can we go on a date? The words spilled out of her mouth before she could stop them, and her blush reddened. Naruto and Tamari were both taken aback, Naruto because he never saw those words coming, and Tamari because she knew that Ino would be competition. Naruto looked at Ino closely with his eye that he gained from Jiraiya by accident. The girl was wearing more civilized clothing, but that didn't mean that it wasn't seductive. She had on a pair of short shorts that were black, a pink halter top that cut off a little bit above her belly button and showed her chest, which was just a bit smaller than Tamari's mental smack, and a pair of purple sandals. Her long blonde ponytail hung down her back and ended just a bit before it touched her butt. She is actually pretty cute, this could work. The hottest girl in Konoha, what seems to be the hottest girl in Suna, Naruto thought. Maybe, I have to train though, he said, and both girls' jaws dropped. Oh okay, Naruto-kun, maybe I'll stop by and watch you train, Ino said happily, and Naruto raised an eyebrow at her. Not to learn anything from you though, Ino said, and Naruto smiled. If you want to, that's cool, he said, and turned around and started walking. Both girls stared at him happily before he turned around, and using as much of his charm as possible he winked with his right eye. Bye Tamari-chan, bye Ino-chan. Both girls dropped unconscious, and Naruto continued walking with a smile. He had done Jiraiya proud. Jiraiya looked up from his notebook and looked around dismayed. Why is it that I feel as though I did something reckless? He asked himself, but then suddenly an odd feeling came over him. But why am I so happy and full of pride suddenly? Jiraiya looked around and couldn't find any reason, so he went back to his research. Come on Fuki-chan, just a little bit closer to Nakomi-chan and you guys will have made the perfect position, Jiraiya muttered while he scribbled quickly. Chapter 14, Training and Dates, Part 2-3. Come on, Naruto yelled as he focused his chakra into the water balloon. Wow, Jiraiya said as he watched Naruto's hands glowing blue. Naruto's chakra swirled around and the balloon was bulging in random spots. Naruto's face was set in a solid, determined face. He was going to master this technique no matter what. Naruto roared as he applied more chakra. Faster, Naruto yelled. The balloon became to shake. More power! Naruto yelled and the chakra around his hands expanded. More power! Naruto screamed into the air. The water balloon began to shake wildly and threatened to explode. Muuri-ipuovir. Naruto screamed louder and the balloon stopping shaking suddenly and began to hum. I did it! Naruto yelled and Ino cheered suddenly. Yes. Alright Naruto-kun. She said and pumped her fist. Well kid, that's impressive. I guess it's time for the fifth step, eh? Jiraiya asked, setting down his can of pop. The Sunin stood up and walked towards Naruto with a grin on his face and pulled a marker out of his back pocket. What are you doing now? Naruto asked as he dropped the water balloon to the ground where it popped and sprayed water everywhere. I'm going to make a focus point on your hand. You have to apply everything you have learned to it and make a perfect sphere of chakra. Jiraiya explained and drew a small spiral on Naruto's hand. Gah! Naruto roared in frustration. This is impossible. You are going to lose that bet. Jiraiya said with a grin and sat back down. No. Naruto said and looked at Ino. Sorry about the lame date, Ino-chan. I just have to master this technique before the exams though. Naruto said to the blonde girl who was sitting against a tree watching her date with interest. Oh, it's fine Naruto-kun, this is interesting. A technique made by the yondaime himself. Ino said with a dreamy look. You're going to be so strong. She said with a smile. Naruto grinned and averted his attention to his hand and focused. Everything I have learned. Naruto thought hard and began to focus his chakra. It swirled around for a split second, making a raging whirlwind before exploding and sending him flying backwards. Ah! He groaned as he skipped across the ground. Naruto-kun! Ino yelled as he came to a halt. Whoops, I forgot to mention that it is much harder for yourself to just focus your chakra without applying it to an object. Jiraiya said with an evil grin. Now better learn how to do it in 10 days. The white-haired man said and put his sunglasses on and sipped some pop from his can. Asshole sensei! Naruto muttered as he got to his feet and sighed heavily. You can do it Naruto-kun. Ino said encouragingly. Come on Naruto. Naruto chastised himself mentally and began to focus again. Chakra began to swirl in his hand again with the same effects as the first time. Damn it! He screamed in frustration and threw his hands up. I give up for today. Oh. Jiraiya said in shock. Really, well your loss. We'll see. Naruto grumbled before motioning for Ino to follow him. As they walked away Naruto sighed and rubbed his forehead in agony. He had to master this technique soon or else. Flashback no jutsu begin. Jiraiya got a shy and perverted face as he poked his index fingers together. You have to go around all day using your sexy jutsu. Flashback no jutsu end. No way. Naruto whispered in horror. What? Ino asked curiously and Naruto chuckled. Nothing, nothing. He said and stuck his hands in his pockets. So it's only about 3 o'clock, so what do you want to do? Naruto asked and Ino blushed. Well, what do you want to do Naruto-kun? Ino asked shyly. Well, I'm pretty hungry, we could go get some ram dash, Naruto began before Ino cut him off. No. You took to Mary there yesterday, you have to take me somewhere else. Ino said angrily and then slapped her hands over her mouth. Jigomen. She stuttered. Haha, it's cool. Let's go get some barbecue. Naruto said, pointing to a restaurant that was at the end of the street they were on. Okay. Ino said and both blonde began walking again towards the barbecue restaurant. It took only 5 minutes to get there and when they did they found familiar faces waiting for them. Ino's team was sitting at a booth eating and when they were seen Asuma beckoned them over. Hey guys, you wanna share a booth? He asked and Naruto shrugged. Sorry Asuma-sensei, we're on a date. Ino said and Chuji and Shikimaru began choking on the steak they were eating. What? Shikimaru gasped out. You heard me you lazy bastard, I'm going on a date with my Naruto-kun. Ino said with a triumphant air about herself. So are you guys, boyfriend and girlfriend? Chuji asked and Naruto began coughing wildly before Ino could answer. No. Naruto said simply. but Ino began. No, we're just on a date, maybe sometime later, but right now we are taking things slow. Naruto said, and Ino sighed in defeat. Oh well, see you later then, Ino. Asuma said, and both blondes waved and walked over to their own little booth. The waiters brought over some steak and Naruto quickly threw them on the grill and lit it. While they were waiting for the meat to cook, Naruto brought his hand up in front of him and looked at the small spiral and then grinned. Don't even think about it, Ino said, seeing the look in his eyes. But Ino-chan, Naruto said with a grin. I said no, Ino said, laughing. People like the restaurant, so don't destroy it. Fine, so how have you been? Naruto asked, and Ino smiled. Pretty good. I've been watching over the shop lately and taking on more responsibilities with it. I am going to inherit it soon, Ino said, and leaned forward on her elbows. But other than that, I have been learning my clan's ways with more depth. I want to learn some of the advanced techniques so that I can be a good clan head, Ino said and sighed. If only my dad would give me our clan's taijutsu style, then I could kick some serious ass in the exams, Ino said, and Naruto laughed. Yeah, but remember one thing, if you did get past the first round you would have to face Gaara, Naruto said, and Ino raised an eyebrow. Why do you think Neji will lose? She asked, and Naruto snorted. Trust me, Gaara won't lose, he wants to fight me too badly, Naruto said, and Ino chuckled. So you think you're going to get all the way to the final round? She asked, and Naruto nodded. I know I will. I have to, he said, and thought about what would happen if anyone but him got there. Why? Ino whispered. Because I have to kick the shit out of Sasuke, Naruto said with a smile, and Ino let her curious look turn into a look of amusement. That's it? She asked and began laughing. You already did that? She almost yelled but kept her voice down. Yeah, but no one but the senseis and genin saw me, I want everyone to see it happen, Naruto said with a sadistic smile. I know that you'll do it, Ino yelled and blushed immediately. So, what did you do for the 6 months that I was gone? Naruto asked and leaned forward on his elbows like Ino. Oh, not much, just trained with my team, learned some techniques, and, well, wondered where you were, Ino said with a slight blush again. She is cute, maybe, Naruto thought. I think I could actually enjoy a relationship with her, he thought, and was brought back to reality when Ino tapped him. You okay? I know I'm hot, but you don't have to stare at me, she said, and Naruto chuckled and rubbed his hair sheepishly. Sorry, he said and smiled. So what did you do? Ino asked, leaning forward more so that her shirt revealed her cleavage. Oh, you know, I learned a couple new tits. Naruto's eyes widened suddenly. I mean tricks, he said, and blushed at the slip-up. Damn pervert. Okay, Ino said and shuffled a little bit, which just gave Naruto a better view. I went to Uzumaki and trained under my sensei, and he taught me some good stuff. You saw most of it so far, well, everything but my ace in the hole, Naruto said, and Ino cocked her head to the side. What is that? She asked. If I told you, then it wouldn't be my ace in the hole, Naruto said playfully. Fine, then I guess I won't tell you my secret, Ino said, scratching her chin. Oh well, Naruto said, grinning. That was so mean, Ino said, and punched his arm. That was mean, Naruto accused, and both teens bursted out laughing at the same time that their steaks burst into flames. Shit, Naruto muttered and swirled his hand around in a small motion. The water in both of their cups spiraled out and splashed across the steaks before swooping up into the air again and landing in the cups. The steaks were blackened, and Naruto shook his head in disgust. I'm not eating that, we'll have to get some new ones, he said, and Ino sighed. Such a waste, she muttered. Naruto thought for a little bit before grinning like a fox. He picked the steaks up and set them in his cup of water and flicked his hand so that the water floated into the air and spun slowly. Naruto added Ino's water to it, and soon there was an orb of water the size of a soccer ball floating in front of them. What are you doing? Ino asked as the brownish water spun slowly with the black lumps in it. Well, Choji might still be hungry and it's time to wake Shikamaru up, Naruto said, gesturing to Ino's team, who were only 4 booths away from them. Asuma would be the only one able to see what was coming and would be able to dodge it. Wait. Ino began, but Naruto grinned and flicked his hand towards the team. Kitanai Niku Mizukyo. Naruto said the name of his newly made jutsu and watched it fly across the restaurant and make contact with its targets. As he assumed Asuma had seen it coming and had jumped away from the booth, but Chuji was curious, so he turned around and was hit full on in the face. The meat and water splattered all over Shikamaru, who shot awake and knocked over the plate of gravy that Chuji had at his table. It split all over Chuji's leg and the boy roared in pain and tried swatting the hot sauce off, but he only managed in smacking the table, which sent the meat flying into the booth next to them. Embers formed the fire, then managed to get on Shikamaru, who screamed in shock and ran out from the booth with his pants on fire. Chuji tried to throw water at him, but it hit fire and it roared even bigger, and Chuji winced when he saw that it was actually the igniter fluid. Well. Naruto muttered, turning his back on the scene and plopping some more steaks down on the grill. The waiter had brought some more over during the chaos. Oh my god. Ino yelled and fell on the floor, laughing at her teammates. Yeah, best invention of a jutsu ever. Naruto said as he cracked up. You just invented that? Ino asked, and Naruto nodded. Well, I already know the basis of it, Mizukyo, so it wasn't hard. He said, and Ino smiled. Hey Ino-chan, come with me? Naruto said, standing up suddenly and walking towards the door. Oh okay. She said and followed him. So what are we doing? Ino asked, and Naruto smiled. Just hold this piece of paper in your hand. He said and gave her a small slip of paper. What does it do? She asked curiously, and he sighed. It is an affinity slip, it tells you what your affinity is. He said, and she nodded. She took the paper and held it in her hand. Nothing's happening. She said, and Naruto chuckled. Focus your chakra into it. He said, and she did. As soon as she did, the small slip of paper became soggy and then burst into flames. Ino yelped and dropped the paper to the ground, where it sizzled away. Well, you are one lucky-ass ninja. Naruto said, and Ino raised an eyebrow. Why? She asked. It is very rare for a ninja to possess both fire and water affinities. Naruto explained, and Ino grinned. Well, it suits me. I am hot, and my personality is cool. She said, and both teens laughed. That was corny. Naruto said, and Ino nodded. I know, but what can I say? She said, and Naruto shook his head. So I can teach you some water jutsu, but you have to learn fire jutsu from someone else, maybe Asuma. He said, and Ino nodded. Yeah, he can use fire jutsu, so I will ask him. She said, and Naruto nodded. Now, I am going to teach you the most basic water jutsu there is. Naruto said, and then brought his hands in front of him. Copy these hand seals until you can do them perfectly. Naruto said, and made 4 hand seals. Okay. Ino said, and began to work on the seals. Naruto smiled and wandered off a bit and looked into the sky. The sun was getting lower in the horizon, and Naruto guessed it to be around 5 o'clock. He sighed and looked at the spiral on his palm. He had to master this jutsu and learn whatever else Jiraiya would teach him. He focused a very small amount of chakra into his hand and watched it spiral like a small whirlwind before dispersing. He sighed and held his hand out in front of him and brought his left hand around and gripped his wrist. He closed his eyes and focused his chakra carefully into his palm and steadily increased the amount of chakra until he felt a sufficient supply building up in his hand. He released it all at once and watched it spin in a sphere before exploding and sending blades of chakra flying in all directions. He was sent skidding backwards as he gritted his teeth. He had small cuts on his body where the chakra blades had sliced through his clothes and cuts over his faces which had trickles of blood leaking from them. He gritted his teeth and flexed his hand which had tons of cuts all up his arm. He decided that he wouldn't be able to make a raise-non that way without destroying his hand in the process. Naruto sighed and held his hand in front of himself again and took in a deep breath. He focused again and let the chakra pour into his hand as he struggled to make it spiral equally and form a sphere. He gritted his teeth just before the chakra imploded and sent him flying backwards. He came to a halt right next to Ino, who was staring at him in shock. You got the seals down yet? He asked from the ground, acting as though it was all a part of the plan. Yeah. she said, and Naruto grinned. Okay, well now you have to apply some chakra and try to direct your focus towards some water. When you master it you will be able to draw water from the ground or the air around you, hell even from the nature itself. Now focus on making a sphere of water, start out small, about the size of your fist, and gradually work your way up. Naruto said, and Ino nodded and started to make hand seals and held the seal right out in front of her in an awkward style. Naruto sighed and walked around behind her, and carefully and gently he took a hold of both of her hands and pulled them apart. Ino was breathless as Naruto held her from behind, his body almost making complete contact with her own. Like this, he said, and made her hands go through the seals and end with the last seal down by her right leg. When you get better you can use one-handed seals and make them by your waist so they're harder to see. Naruto said, and Ino nodded as she blushed. Thank you, Naruto-kun. She whispered and took in a small breath as the blonde boy stepped away. Ino went through the hand seals and focused on the small pond beside them. She gritted her teeth and a small column of water rose about 3 feet into the air before splashing down again, sending small waves across the pond. Close, just keep practicing that whenever you can. When you are able to use it and can make a perfect sphere, then I'll teach you Sutten, Mizumaki. The name of this technique is Sutten, Mizukyo. Naruto said, and walked away from Ino to his own little spot to train. They trained for about an hour before Naruto told Ino that they should head home. As they walked, Ino made a brave move and grabbed Naruto's hand as it swung by her and held onto it tight, interlocking their fingers. Naruto almost pulled away but decided to go along with it all. He acted like it was no big deal and squeezed Ino's hand in his own. He flicked his eyes over and saw the girl blushing in the sunset, and he smiled. She really was cute. Why hadn't he ever noticed before? It didn't take long for them to get to Ino's house, and when they arrived they stood there staring at each other for a while. Well, today was fun, Ino said with a small smile. It was, wasn't it? Naruto agreed and rubbed his hair. Ino brought her hands behind her back and toed the ground nervously before leaning forward and kissing Naruto on the lips. When the girl pulled away, Naruto looked at her in shock and she blushed wildly. That was for saving us back in the Forest of Death. Good night, Naruto-kun, Ino said before running inside and slamming the door. Yeah, Naruto muttered in confuzzlement. As he began to walk away he felt a sudden killer intent behind him, and he looked up and saw a pair of red eyes glaring at him. Naruto raised an eyebrow as a blonde-haired man dropped from the roof of Ino's house and walked towards him with a rose in his hand. So you're gonna make a move on my daughter, eh? Inoichi asked as he whirled the rose around. I don't think so, you dash. Wham. Ah. Oh shit. Naruto said when the man fell to the floor with perfectly round and flat face. Ino's mom stood next to him with a frying pan in her hand. She was smiling at Naruto softly while she ground her foot into her husband's back in anger. Hey Naruto, I hope you had fun tonight. I hope to see you again soon. Don't you, Inoichi? She asked evilly. Hee, yeah. Inoichi said, but it was muffled because his face was buried in the dirt. Well, bye, I guess. Naruto said as he walked away from the house. As he left he could hear the sounds of metal hitting bones. Naruto sighed as he got to the hotel he was staying at. As he walked up the steps he had a feeling that something was about to happen. He got to the 3rd floor and started walking down the hall to his room when he saw a pink-haired girl standing outside by his door. He raised an eyebrow when he recognized her. You're Teiwa, right? What are you doing? He asked and stopped in front of her. Yeah, I am. Teiwa said and cracked her knuckles. I just wanted to meet you in person to see how easy it will be to kick the shit out of you in the exams. She said with an evil smile. Okay then, have fun dash. Naruto began and went to walk forward but tripped on the carpet. He flew forward and crashed into Teiwa and both of them went down, Naruto on top of her. When Naruto opened his eyes he reeled back in shock. Why, you little F-fucker? Teiwa said as she wiped a sleeve across her mouth. You kissed me? She yelled. You kissed me? Naruto yelled back, still on top of her. Teiwa growled and flipped them over so that she was straddling him. She was pinning his arms down in anger and got 3 inches from his face. I should kick your ass. She yelled. Why? So you can kiss me again. He yelled back. You owe me now. No guy gets to just kiss me. Taewya said as she sat up with a grin. Tomorrow, I will meet you here at 9 o'clock in the morning. You're taking me on a date. She said and leaned down slowly, and Naruto struggled to get free, but it was to no avail. No way. He yelled. Yes way, Blondie, you wanna make a move on me? Well, now you owe me. She said before lightly brushing her lips over his again, making him go quiet. Gee, get out of here. He stuttered as a blush crossed his face. No problem, see you tomorrow, perv. Taewya said as she jumped to her feet and walked away. Oh yeah, I didn't come to tell you I was going to kick your ass. Then why did you come? Was it worth making me want to puke? Naruto yelled. Of course I wasn't that bad, but it was sudden and weird. Nope, I got what I came for. Taewya said and walked away, and before she rounded a corner and went into her own room, she looked at Naruto and winked. A date. Taewya disappeared and Naruto slapped a palm against his forehead. Why me? I have to focus on training. Naruto thought, and before he turned he saw a glint in the window. What the hell? He muttered and then narrowed his eyes. What he saw shocked him. Arrow Senin. Naruto roared and made a few hand seals. Sutin, Mizu Hashira. Water erupted from the wall next to Naruto, destroying someone's plumbing, but the effects were what he wanted. The water crashed through the window and hit Jiraiya, who wasn't able to dodge because he was hanging by a rope, and sent him flying into the distance. The man was able to get in some last words though. Uzumaki Naruto has 3 girlfriends. A vein bulged in Naruto's forehead as he clenched his fist and he walked over to the gaping hole in the wall. I do not. He roared. He could hear a very distant liar. Fuck. Naruto said as an image of Temari appeared in his mind. My. He said, and an image of Ino appeared next to Temari. Life. He said, and finally Taewya appeared next to the 2 blonde girls. Chapter 15, Training and Dates, Part 3-3. Naruto groaned as he rolled over in his bed. He opened his eyes slowly and rubbed the sleep out of them before getting up. He stood to his feet and walked over to the dresser in his room and opened the top drawer. He looked at all of the stuff he had in it and sighed with boredom. Always blue and black now. He said, and opened up the bottom drawer and brought out his rare outfit. A pair of black pants with orange tiger stripes, a black shirt with an orange spiral on the front, and an orange and black jacket. He pulled on the clothes and flexed his arms to get used to the new clothes. He walked over and grabbed his sword and strapped it onto his back and strapped his scroll on also. He grabbed his hitayate and tied it around his forehead and let it hold his hair back so that his blue eyes were easier to see. He looked at himself in the mirror and shook his head before he adjusted the headband so that it let his hair fall down in front of his eyes slightly but still showed the metal plate with the Konoha symbol on it. Naruto grinned and stuffed his wallet into his back pocket before walking to his kitchen and making a cup of instant ramen. As the food boiled, he looked at the clock. He still had about half an hour until Taewya would find him, so he knew he should prepare himself. He went to his bathroom and brushed his teeth and then washed his face. He stared at himself in the mirror for a while, looking at the whisker marks on his cheeks before sighing. Damn fox. He said and rubbed his hair with some water and then dried his hair and face with a towel. He walked out and grabbed the ramen and drained it in a mere 5 minutes before burping and then grabbing a can of pop from the fridge. He walked over to his door and opened it while slipping on his black shoes. As he walked into the hall, he turned and locked the door behind him. He started walking when he heard a voice. About time. Taewya said as she stepped around the corner. She was wearing a pair of black pants and low-cut purple shirt. Naruto could easily see most of her breasts, but he shrugged the thought off, it was too early in the morning. She completed the outfit with a pair of black sandals, her hitayate tied around her waist like a belt with the metal piece on her hip, and her hair flowing behind her freely. It's only a little before 9, stop whining. Naruto said, and Taewya raised an eyebrow. Should I kick your ass? She asked, and Naruto sighed. In other words, should you try and rape me? He asked, and Taewya immediately blushed and snorted. Can't rape the willing. She muttered, and Naruto walked up to her. Let's go, I have to train later. He said, and Taewya grinned. Good, you can train with me then. She said, and Naruto shook his head. Nope, private training. he said, and Teiwa snorted. What, working on your raised non? She said, and Naruto stopped walking and looked at her with a shocked expression. How did you know? He demanded. Dude, I have been watching you ever since the Forest of Death. Teiwa said with a slight blush. Why else would I ask you out on a date? She said and rolled her eyes. Because you're a stalker. Naruto muttered, and Teiwa laughed. Maybe. She muttered and left the building. As they walked down the streets, they were silent for the most part. It was rather awkward since neither really knew the other. Naruto didn't try to make conversation because he didn't ask to go on a date, and because he really wanted to get back to training, so he was mad. Well, from your dates with the blonde bitches I can already tell that you don't like the movie gig, so I figured that you and me could go and train some. Maybe get some ramen afterwards. Teiwa said with a small grin. Naruto stopped walking and looked at her slowly, and a smile appeared on his face. I'm starting to like you already. He said, and Teiwa grinned. Then come on. She said, and grabbed his hand and dragged him away. Oh yeah, he is mine. She thought. This is going to be an interesting day. Naruto thought with amusement. Maybe it wouldn't be too bad. We're going to train here? Naruto asked as he looked around. They were at a small clearing in the forest on the outskirts of Konoha. There was a beautiful waterfall that crashed down into a small lake that then traveled down another incline to a larger lake. Teiwa grinned. You have lived in this village for this long and you didn't know about this place? She laughed. No, not really. Naruto said and scratched his head. I hope you can swim. Teiwa said as she looked at the waterfall. Why? Naruto asked. Because we aren't just going to train, you idiot. This place is so cool because of that. Teiwa said with excitement and pointed at the waterfall. A waterfall? Naruto asked, and Teiwa shook her head. She walked around the lake and beckoned for Naruto to follow her. She walked behind the waterfall on a small ledge and disappeared from sight. Naruto sighed and ran to catch up to her. When he did catch up, he gasped at what he saw. Behind the waterfall was a large cave that glistened. The cave only extended inward about 7 feet and was about 10 feet tall, but that was what amazed Naruto. At the bottom of the back of the cave was a hole, and from it extended a trench that was maybe 2 feet deep, and it continued out past the waterfall. Water was raging out of the hole that was maybe 4 feet in diameter. It's giant water slid. Naruto exclaimed, and Teiwa laughed. Yeah, I found it when I first came here and IWA board. She said and pointed at the hole. It starts up there, comes down through here, and then you fly through this trench. You get shot out under the waterfall and then down that inkling to the larger lake. But you can also train while doing this. Teiwa said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. How? He asked, and Teiwa chuckled. If you want to really go fast through here, you force chakra into you back as though you were walking on water, then you hold it while going and you fly like a bat out of hell. Teiwa said and grinned. I hope you brought shorts. Naruto slapped his forehead. No. He mumbled, and Teiwa laughed. I brought some for you, I knew you wouldn't wear any. Teiwa said and pulled a pair out from her shirt. Here, they should fit you. Naruto caught the shorts and eyed them. They were black with red strips on them. Looks good, now let me just change. Naruto said and looked at Teiwa, who was already undressing. What are you doing? He yelled, and Teiwa rolled her eyes. I have my stuff on underneath this, you dumbass. She said and pulled her shirt off. As soon as she did, Naruto's jaw dropped when her boobs fell out of the purple shirt and bounced up and down for a second. They're way bigger than Tamari's, they have to be C's. Naruto screamed in his mind. Teiwa tossed her shirt to the side and then pulled off her pants with her back to Naruto. She turned and Naruto groaned mentally. Teiwa was curvy in all the right places and she was hot, she was a knockout. Okay, she is hot, Naruto thought, and knew that Jiraiya would have died from blood loss by now. You like what you see? Teiwa asked, stepping up close to Naruto. She put her hands on his chest and brought her lips to his ears. Then come and get it. She said and laughed as she pushed Naruto and ran out from the cave. Naruto looked at her and then at the shorts and changed quickly and raced after her. Wait up, I don't know where to go. He yelled and ran after her. He scrambled up the rocky ledge after her, and when he got to the top she was sitting next to a large rock. "About time, loser," she said with a grin, and Naruto grinned right back. "Here's the entrance," she said, and pointed to a hole next to the rock that disappeared into the small river that made the waterfall. "Can't you drown in that?" Naruto asked warily. "No, only some water channels into it, but it shoots you down fast enough, just get yourself a little wet." Teiwa yelled and splashed him with water suddenly. "Whoa!" he yelled as he shivered. "Oh, you're so done!" he yelled back playfully and made a hand seal. Sudden, tsunami. A small wave of water shot from the river and engulfed Teiwa, who screamed in delight. When the water receded she was soaking wet, her pink hair hanging in front of her eyes and water covering her entire body, which made Naruto blush slightly. "Last one down loses," Teiwa yelled and jumped into the hole feet first. "Ha, call yourself a loser already then," Naruto yelled and jumped in after her. He rocketed down through the hole in complete darkness until suddenly he entered the cave behind the waterfall. He didn't have time to think before he shot through the wall of water and was sent skidding across the small lake. He immediately started going down the incline, which he found out was a large slab of slightly curved rock that made a long half pipe. Water raced down it and Naruto grinned as he speeded down right behind Teiwa. He brought his hands down to his sides and willed the water behind him to push him faster, and while willing the water in front of Teiwa to push upward. Of course he wasn't able to focus completely, so it didn't work as good as he wanted, but he got the desired effects. He shot past the pink-haired girl, who screamed in protest while he laughed wildly. "Loser!" he yelled as he neared the end of the pipe. As the end, the slab curved up so that it was level with the lake, which could only mean one thing. Swoosh! Naruto was sent sliding across the surface of the lake before finally stopping. Teiwa stopped a bit before he did, and he laughed as he swam back to her. "That was great," he yelled, and she laughed in response. "I know, right? Let's go again," she said, and pulled herself up out of the water and walked across it. Naruto followed her lead and caught up. "I have an idea," he said, and as they walked he explained himself. "Instead of starting at the hole, just go to the start of this slab pipe and then stand up while focusing chakra into your feet. Then slide down like you were waterboarding, and at the end see how far across the lake you can get," Naruto said, and Teiwa laughed. "Let's try it," she said, and they ran up the hill. When they got to the slab, Naruto focused chakra to his feet and walked out onto the smaller lake and stood before the rock slab inside. "Here goes nothing," he said, and jumped down into the pipe. He was sent flying, and it scared him to death at first until he got the hang of it. He laughed wildly as he flew down at high speeds. He leaned back and forth and learned that he would go right if he focused more chakra into the upper part of his feet, and left if more chakra was sent to his heels. He flew all around in the slab pipe while laughing merrily. He saw the end of the slab coming up, and he looked back to see Teiwa eyeing it with hunger. "Here we go," he yelled, and crouched down in case he did crash. He flew out across the lake and was sent sliding. He was screaming as he made it all the way to the center of the lake before coming to a halt finally and standing perfectly still. He looked back and saw Teiwa still racing towards him and watched as she whizzed past. She came to a halt 20 feet from him and looked back with a grin. "Who rocks?" she asked as she ran over to him. "Me, I figured this out," Naruto said with a grin and looked at the long walk they had back. "This sucks," he mumbled, and Teiwa smirked. "Gives us time to talk," she said, and Naruto shrugged. "Sure, why not?" he asked, and Teiwa grinned. "So tell me about yourself," she said, and Naruto laughed and rubbed his wet hair sheepishly. "Well, I like ramen, my friends, water slides," both of the teens laughed at this. "And training. I don't like traitors, over-arrogant fools, those who prey on the weak and the wait for ramen to cook. I had previously hoped to be the Hokage, but that dream changed." Naruto trailed off, and Teiwa cocked her head at him. "Why?" she asked, and Naruto looked at her for a little bit. "You're the first person I have told about this," Naruto muttered, and Teiwa nodded. "Go on," she whispered. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and my mom was supposed to be the queen of Uzunokuni, so I am the heir," Naruto said, and Teiwa looked at him in shock. "You're the heir of Uzumaki?" She asked and Naruto nodded. Yeah, I haven't even really been here for the last 6 months. I have been in Uzunokuni training with my mentors, Haku and Zabuza, who is my uncle. Naruto said and Teiwa raised an eyebrow. Wait, Momoichi Zabuza? The nuke nin? He's your uncle? She asked and Naruto nodded. Yeah, he is really Uzumaki Zabuza, Momoichi is his code name. Naruto said and Teiwa snorted. So you parents are dead? She asked and Naruto nodded. So what about you? Naruto asked and Teiwa smiled softly. I like music, friends, what little I have, and training. I hate murders, traitors, and liars. I dream of one day finding the place where I truly belong. Teiwa said and then sighed. Otherwise I am just like you, minus the prince thing. I am an orphan, my parents were killed when I was only 3. I can't even remember their faces. After that I went to an orphanage in the land of rice until I was 10. I then got sick of the abuse there and ran away and then found Otagakuer and immediately joined their ranks. From then on I have trained to become strong. Teiwa said with a shrug. So your life has been rough too? Naruto asked and Teiwa cocked an eyebrow at him. How has yours been rough? She asked curiously. I was abused, my entire life pretty much. Mostly everyone in the village hates me, no parents, and a heavy burden. Naruto said and Teiwa snorted. Not as bad as my abuse. The guy who ran my orphanage would beat us usually, starve us make us clean all the time. Teiwa said and Naruto shook his head. I was beaten senseless every day since I was 4. I starved almost every night and ate out of trash cans. I had to steal just to live. I have never had anyone to truly love me until recently. Naruto said and Teiwa regretted her words immediately. I'm sorry. She said as they walked up the small incline. It's cool. Naruto said as they got to the top of the hill and stood next to the small lake. So this is a lake, eh? He asked and Teiwa shrugged. I guess. She said. Well, how deep is it? He yelled suddenly and pushed her in. She screamed in shock and as she fell in she grabbed Naruto's arm and pulled him in after her. Both went in with a large splash and came up coughing and laughing. Nice try, asshole. She said and Naruto chuckled as he rubbed the goosebumps out of his arms. Why yeah I know. He said and Teiwa saw his teeth shattering. Is it that cold? She asked and Naruto nodded. His gaze traveled down and he blushed at what he saw. Both of Teiwa's nipples were hard and very visible through her bikini. Your body thinks so. He muttered and blushed as the words left his mouth. Teiwa looked down and yelped as a blush crossed her face and she put her arms across her chest. Sorry. She mumbled and climbed out of the lake. Naruto got out after her and followed her to the cave where she was pulling on her clothes in a hurry. Naruto watched her until she finished and then they stared at each other. He asked and Teiwa blushed again when she realized what he meant. Sorry. She said and ducked out of the cave. Naruto chuckled as he took off the shorts and sighed. He swirled his hand and watched as the water flowed from his boxers and left them bone dry but slightly cold. He then did the same to his body and hair until he had a ball of water in front of himself. He flicked the water ball into the water raging by and he pulled on his clothes. He walked out of the cave to find a shivering Teiwa sitting down by a tree. Naruto walked over and grinned at her and flicked his hands and pulled all of the water off of her body and formed a small sphere of water with it. Thanks. Teiwa said but she was still freezing. Naruto pulled off his jacket and handed it to her and she pulled it on happily. Naruto bent down and then sat next to her. He sat so that their bodies were touching so that they could warm each other up. Don't get the wrong idea. Naruto said playfully and Teiwa rolled her eyes. How long you think we have been out here? He asked and she shrugged. See, couple hours at least. She said while her teeth clattered. You're pretty cold. Naruto said and she chuckled. Come here. Naruto finally said and pulled her onto his lap and wrapped his arms around her. Rape? She asked and they both laughed. No, I don't want to be blamed for your death when you die from hypothermia. He said and she shrugged and snuggled closer to him. Naruto looked past her and looked at the sphere of water that was floating in front of him. He could feel some chakra trickling out of him as he held it aloft and together. He moved his fingers and both teens watched as he made shapes with the water. A kunao, a shuriken, a dragon, a face, and finally his clan symbol. Naruto then made the small spiral spin so that it looked like a whirlpool. "It's beautiful," Teiwa whispered as the moon caught the sunlight and it glistened. "Thanks," Naruto said, and the water fell to the floor. "Want to see a little show I put on for mine and my mentor's entertainment?" he asked, and Teiwa nodded. Naruto brought one of his arms away from the girl and began to move his fingers, and suddenly 5 little stick people made of water were walking around in circles. "That's it?" Teiwa asked, and Naruto chuckled. "Watch," he said, and then suddenly a hurricane shot up from the ground. He made the small people run around while they were sucked up and thrown around by the hurricane. He made new people to be thrown around every now and then and started to make other things when Teiwa was crying from laughter. "That is the funniest shit I have seen so far," she bellowed, and Naruto laughed along with her. "Here comes the grand finale," he said, and pushed a lot of chakra into making the last show. He formed a large water dragon and a small person with armor and a sword. He made the 2 figures fight until he made the man make some hand seals and shoot a ball of water at the dragon. The water ball missed and flew up into the sky, and Naruto made both dragon and man stare at it until it exploded, sending little rain droplets drizzling down. The dragon looked down at the little man and swept his tail around and crushed him. "Haha!" Teiwa roared, and Naruto smiled. "I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was what happened in a training session between me and Zabuza," Naruto said, and Teiwa laughed harder. "His water dragon smashed your ass?" she asked between laughs. "More like through me skipping across the ocean," Naruto mumbled, and Teiwa laughed. "That's funny," she said, and rubbed her arms. "You seem warmer," Naruto said, and Teiwa grinned. "So?" she asked, and snuggled up against Naruto. "Nice excuse," Naruto said, and pushed her off gently. They both stood to their feet, and Naruto stretched. "This day has been fun," he said, and Teiwa nodded. "Yeah, it has," she muttered and looked at the ground shyly. "Thanks, for not being like the other 2, Naruto said, and Teiwa looked up. They looked into each other's eyes and then found themselves leaning forward slowly until their lips met. Naruto was flooded with warmness as he and Teiwa began to kiss slowly. He slowly wrapped his arms around her and pulled her closer while she wrapped her arms around his neck. Soon both had deepened the kiss, and Naruto found himself pinning Teiwa against a tree while she had her legs around him. The kiss deepened, and when both teens broke apart they were panting but were smiling at each other. As they leaned in to go for round 2 they heard a voice suddenly. "Naruto-kun!" Ino's voice rung out. "Get off him, you bitch!" She roared and jumped down and landed by the lake. "Who are you to talk?" Temari suddenly said as she appeared on top of the waterfall. "Crap!" Naruto muttered, and Teiwa smirked. "What are you bitches doing here?" she asked evilly, and unpinned herself from the tree and walked up to Ino. "I'm coming to claim my Naruto-kun, you bitch," Ino said, and pushed Teiwa. "You're Naruto-kun!" Temari yelled and jumped down from the waterfall and landed next to Ino. "He is mine, you stupid slut!" she yelled and slapped Ino across the face. "Wrong!" Teiwa said, and pushed both girls into the lake. "He's mine," she said, and began to walk away. "Oh no, you don't!" Temari roared and grabbed Teiwa's ankle and yanked her backwards into the lake. Naruto watched in horror as the 3 girls fought viciously against each other. "Oh my god!" he thought, and started to walk away. "Hold on, Naruto-kun, I'll be there in a second," Ino yelled at him as she yanked Teiwa's hair. "She's lying, Naruto sweetie, I just have to get rid of this trash and then I'll be at your side to keep you company," Temari said, slapped Ino in the face and dunked her under the water. "Right!" Teiwa yelled and dunked Temari under and grinned as she held both girls under. "Just a second, Naruto," she sang evilly. Naruto took several steps back into the forest and hid behind a tree in fright. These girls were vicious. Why was he doing this even? Oh yeah, because of Pervez Sage's sexual awareness he had noticed girls. Damn pervert. Naruto could have sworn he heard a sneeze as he said that and looked around. It wouldn't surprise me if that dick was actually writing this all down in his notebook. Naruto thought and sat down. What can I do? He whispered to himself. Naruto. Ino yelled. Baby, where are you? Temari yelled and Naruto heard another slap. It's okay to come out. Teiwa yelled. If only I could satisfy all of them. Naruto began to think. If I could be with them all at the same time, he finished his thought and grinned. I can look left and right this way. He yelled and brought his hands together. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 clones appeared and looked at the original before nodding. They knew what they were to do and they ran off to do it. One went and found Ino, one found Teiwa, and one found Temari. Naruto waited until he heard the voices getting fainter until he finally came out by the small lake. Good idea, Naruto. He said to himself. Now it's time to train. He thought and looked at his palm. He started to focus chakra into his hand but it exploded sending him skipping across the lake to the other side. Of course. He thought and began the long walk towards Konoha. He had training to do. It was the 9th day. Then the 8th. Then the 7th. Then the 6th. Then the 5th. Then the 4th. Then the 3rd. Then the 2nd. Ho! This is the last day, Gaki. Jiraiya roared as Naruto tired to unsuccessfully make another raise non. Shut up! Naruto roared and slapped his head in anger. How can I do this? He asked himself. In order to focus on training, Naruto had made 3 clones every day in order to occupy the 3 girls always trying to get him lately. He had always been successful but he had started to notice some side effects after using each clone. He was becoming more attached to each girl every day. He had asked Jiraiya and the man finally sat him down and explained why this was happening. The old man had told him that he would inherit all of the experience, memories, and feelings that his clones had experienced while living. Naruto was shocked at first but realized that it was a small price to pay compared to walking around an entire day using his sexy jutsu. He had continued to use the clones and by now he had found himself pushing down the urge to go on dates with the girls himself. Well, get ready to sue the sexy jutsu. Jiraiya roared happily and Naruto sighed. How can I do this? There had to be some sort of key. Think, Naruto, think. Naruto roared to himself. Flashback no jutsu begin. Then it is just a manner of maintaining that concentration. Haku explained with a friendly smile. Kage Bunshin is a forbidden jutsu, and forbidden jutsu can be learned and mastered. That's it, now use this power wisely. Sarutobi said. Whoops, I forgot to mention that it is much harder for yourself to just focus your chakra without applying it to an object. Jiraiya said with an evil grin. Yeah, best invention of a jutsu ever. Naruto said as he cracked up. You just invented that? Ino asked and Naruto nodded. Well, I already know the basis of it, Mizukiya, so it wasn't hard. He said and Ino smiled. If only I could satisfy all of them. Naruto began to think. If I could be with them all at the same time, he finished his thought and grinned. I can look left and right this way. He yelled and brought his hands together. Flashback no jutsu end. I have it. Naruto yelled and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Here comes another fail. The man muttered and Naruto made a hand seal. Kage Bunshin no jutsu. A clone appeared next to him suddenly and both grinned at Jiraiya. Get ready to teach me a jutsu. Both clones chorused while Naruto held out his right hand. He channeled chakra to it and let it leak out while trying to keep a steady flow going while the clone began to shape the chakra, moving its hands in weird motions. No way. Jiraiya muttered, pulling off his sunglasses. Come on. Naruto yelled and the clone began to shape the chakra sphere faster and faster until suddenly. I got it. Naruto screamed and Jiraiya dropped to his knees. No way, it took Minato 2 years, and me 1 year, and you only took 22 days. Jiraiya said as Naruto held the sphere of chakra in front of him. Raise non. Naruto slammed the spinning ball of chakra into a tree next to him and watched as it blew the tree apart. He looked back at Jiraiya with a grin. Oh yeah, I did it. Poof. 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 All three of Naruto's clones disappeared suddenly when he fell to his knees from chakra exhaustion. Check the description for the links to the author.